Hi guys, I really want to talk about the state of Wuthering Waves right now and really explain what's going on because every other content creator seems to stay silent during possibly one of the saddest and most disappointing moments of Wuthering Waves history. Now, guys, I just really want to talk quickly why I think it's important to talk about what's going on because a lot of people may not know, even the content creators, that Kuro Games and Wuthering Waves staff is actually silencing every single comment that's critical of Wuthering Waves or Kuro Games, um, and really going hard. Now they're censoring the official Wuthering Waves sub and Discord. Now this censorship wave started happening on the 21st of April. I was actually closely monitoring what was happening throughout the weekend, and there wasn't any kind of censorship, except I guess if you were being very disruptive, or if like most comments and most uh, memes and everything else. There was a lot of stuff. The fire was very big, and that the content creators not speaking up about any of this is just them acting like a bunch of little bitches. I'm really disappointed. I don't want to like insult anyone or the focus of this video I want to be on a few main things. The focus on this video I want to be on two main things. The first one, I want to tell anyone, regardless what your opinion is, if we're greedy or if you're on my side and think that the rewards were disappointing and we should have gotten more, regardless of what you think, I just want you to keep one thing in mind. This video isn't about insulting anyone. You're not gonna manage to change the opinion of another person by telling them he's greedy or insulting them in any way, or by telling them if somebody tells you you're greedy and you tell them, well, you're a retard. Do you think this person uh, will say to themselves, yes, you're actually right, I am a retard, and agree with you? I don't think that's realistic. So in this video, I really want to be very reasonable. I want to go from all sides. I want to go from the sides of the content creators that are being very unfair to us. I want to go from the side of the people that are very toxic right now and telling everyone else they're greedy for expecting this billion-dollar company. Guys, Kuro Games is owned by Tencent. Tencent is the biggest gaming, this is the biggest company that owns games anywhere else in the world. Now, anybody that says uh, we deserve, we don't deserve a free 5-star, or we're asking too much, a lot of people are using this over exaggerated example of us wanting a free zany or a free chiacona and making it seem like it's too much. Now, with the amount of heavy monetization that's happening in the upcoming anniversary, you got to realize even if they give 7 free zanies, they're still gonna make a profit. Because if you look at what's actually happening um, right now in the upcoming 2.3 live stream, you have, so first of all, I want to talk about the shorekeeper situation and the banner. Guys, if you ask anyone, content creator, or if you go on Google, or if you go on Chat GPT, and you ask what is the single most valuable character to own in the Wuthering Waves, every single one will say shorekeeper. Now, uh, uh, shorekeeper, like a lot of people will say, she already ran, and that goes to my other point, uh, right? But a lot of people didn't pick her up because they didn't like her character. But everyone that missed her, or everyone that's pulling for the meta, anyone else now that everything is settled, months have passed, knows Shorekeeper is the best thing to have. That means anyone with an account, anyone that's remotely interested in what's going on the internet or is following Wuthering Waves knows how good Shorekeeper is and that she's in every single team. If you've watched a guide on any character, you'll notice that Shorekeeper is everywhere. Now, them putting the most valuable character in the game right before the anniversary, not only that, shortening the banner. Now, it to me screams, we want to drain your asteroid. But some of you may be like, you know what? I don't actually quite agree with this. So I'll go to my next point. My next point is actually tackling the heavy monetization of the patch itself. Guys, if you remember anything about the patch, we talked if you guys, if you remember anything about the 2.3 live stream, you remember a few main things. First of all, they mentioned the top-up bonuses. Now, on their own, top-up bonuses are not that bad, right? A lot of games have this type of system where they reset the in-game currency. Right, on its own, it's not that bad. But if you combine it with the fact that we also have 12 new banners, 12. Why the fuck do we have 12 banners? What other game has 12 banners? Right? A lot of you might say that's a good thing. You know, if you're a new player, you know, and you've missed some of these characters, a lot of these characters, you know, this is their rerun. This is their second rerun, right? So if you haven't picked up a Phoebe, now is your chance to pick up a Phoebe or a Carlotta. But anyone that's saying this about missing a character, like someone like Jian or a Yin Lin, right? Anyone that already wanted a Jian would have picked him up either on the first, or if you really cared about the meta, you would have picked him up at the second, right? So this is very, very predatory, in my opinion. But there's still people that could say, you know what, you're right. It is it could be beneficial for some players. Now, I want to also quickly mention about the skins. And a lot of you are gonna say, what do you mean about the skins? They were on they were supposed to release on 2.4. Why are you mentioning it? And that I will say you're absolutely right. Why am I mentioning it on 2.3 live stream? Matter of fact, why is Wuthering Waves themselves mentioning it on 2.4? This is more paid content, right? The skins are great. I love both of them. I love Carlotta. Carlotta, I've been playing her, and in my opinion, she's the best character for damage in the game. But why the fuck is there so much monetization in the game? This is not why we play Wuthering Waves. I want to quickly mention the events, because a lot of the people are gonna mention the events. Guys, you gotta understand, being hyped for events, we've already been disappointed so many times because of events. It's crazy. If you're the same people that say that were saying you had unrealistic expectations for a 5-star are the same people that are going to be hyped for the events. Do you guys not remember what happened to WuWa, the Whimpering Wastes event? It was hyped as this new end game. It's still dog shit. It's still dog shit. How is that possible? It's still just another what was that, pincer maneuver? It's just pincer maneuver, but you got buffs before the game. That's what it is. A lot of people didn't like pincer maneuver. Why are you releasing pincer maneuver 2.0? Right? My next point, I really want to mention uh the most important drama that is happening right now, which is it unrealistic to expect a 5-star from Kuro Games? Now, Before I want to talk about is it unrealistic to expect a 5 star from Kuro, I want to quickly say in this part of the video, I'm going to be comparing Kuro only to Kuro themselves. And uh, if guys, if we compare, do we really, guys, do we really want to compare Kuro to Hoyoverse, Kuro games to Hoyoverse? Is that really what we're gonna do? Is that really what we're gonna compare? Everyone on the planet already knows Hoyoverse and their games are very greedy. Only ZZZ, from what I see, I don't play it, but from what I see, is being somewhat generous, and that's because it's a new game. It's their newest game. Their other two games, I don't know about Honkai Impact Third. Their other two games, people haven't been happy for years now. For years. Not with the game itself, and not with the rewards. Is that what we want to compare to? I also want to say very quickly about the 5 star that before I talk, and I'm going to mention a lot during this part of the video, uh, you know, new type of gameplay, fresh gameplay, something that we've never experienced before. And I want everybody that's watching to know, by saying that, I don't mean zany or Chiakona. By saying that, I mean a limited type of character, somebody that's more likely that, because the majority of the community don't own all characters, but the majority of the community own both 5 stars and standard characters. Probably a lot of people own all, right? So, if there was more standard banner characters, I would be more inclined to say standard banner. But for the purpose of making my point clear to everyone, I want to say, I'm expecting. I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna make this argument for Chiakona or for Zany, even though with the heavy monetization during this patch, if they gave free 7 Zanies, all constellations of Zany, it still wouldn't matter because Kuro games will still be profitable from the patch. Now, first of all, my first argument for the 5-star character is, guys, can I, when I get a free 5-star, can I go to the store and buy a pack of cigarettes? Can I go to the store and buy, a gallon of milk? Can I pay my rent with a 5-star? What can I do with this 5-star outside of the game? Right? Nothing. So, the content creators, they have to buy them, but we don't have to buy them. We can only lose from them. We can't gain anything other than gameplay. Right? So this is my first point. And all of you might say, well, that's a very weak point. Why don't they give, every character for free from now on? Well, first of all, it's the anniversary. And here comes my next point, which is actually in a form of a question. I want to ask everyone, the content creators, I want to ask the players, I want to ask anybody that may hate me for my views, is it reasonable for the game to not reward the players with new, fresh gameplay experience for all the shit we went through during 1.0 and as a whole? Now, this is my point for the 5-star. And for those of you that have forgotten what we went through, this is the part of the video where I remind everyone what we went through as a community, as a whole. Even the players that are hating me, even the players that are saying I'm greedy, I'm unreasonable, I want to let you know, I hear you. We both know Wuthering Waves. I love you regardless if you hate me, and I want anyone that feels the same way that I do about the game and that I'm not actually greedy and it's actually very reasonable. It's actually not me being greedy, but me expecting to receive what I am owed for the fucking year of loving the game. I want to take you through the entirety of my most memorable moments from 1.0, the release. I was a day one player. From day one, I was active throughout most of the patches. There was one patch that I'm going to mention that I almost didn't play entirely. So here it is, the disastrous launch. Guys, do you remember waking up in a field and two mummies standing in front of you? And from then on out, it was a fucking disaster. It was a fucking disaster, guys. It was so bad. The story was shit. I'm sorry to anyone that's like a very like crazy Kuro about. Everyone agrees the story was fucking garbage. The story for me was a 2 out of 10. I had to skip most of it because it's so boring. Do you remember just waking up and from the beginning you're bombarded with different words like resonator, like tacit discord, like tacit view, brother? You don't have to say fucking two words that I don't know what they mean to describe bad guys. Just invent like zombie. Like everybody knows what a fucking zombie is. Like they're obviously not zombies, but can't you just say one word like, you know, to describe bad guys that I know, Wuthering Waves is like this sound-based thing, and Tacit Discord is like, some sort of frequency. But come on, do you guys remember Pangu Terminal? That term was so bad. It has never been used ever again. What the fuck? Do you remember Pangu Terminal? Do you know what it is now? If you're a new player, what a Pangu Terminal is? If I joined 2.0, I would have no idea what Pangu Terminal is, right? It was full of issues with optimization. Guys, do you remember how many fucking rewards they had to give out because it was so fucked up? The patch was so fucked up. There were problems with translations. They had to refund players who spent on a fucking banner with a sword that had they couldn't even fix the translation. That was the state of the game. A lot of people were gonna say it was a fine game. To me, it was also fine. You know, I had a good PC that I could enjoy the game on. It was relatively fine for me too. I didn't pull for the weapon, but guys, during this video, if you remember, I said I'm gonna go through all the different viewpoints of everyone because this video is for everyone. It was a disaster, and then came it's the game slowed down. It slowed down to such a pace that I didn't even want to play anymore. There was nothing happening. 1.2, the most boring patch. Guys, do you remember anything that happened during 1.2? I remember only getting a free 5-star and, Yinlin being bent over on a stand and people making fun about that was literally the only thing that actually remember. I remember doing some stand events, going through different stands, and everyone was making fun of Yinlin because she was in a provocative pose. That's it. I don't even remember us having like a companion story or anything like that. Let me know if you remember that because I don't. How many of you actually paid attention to 1.2? All right. Second, things were picking up pace. 1.3 release. The Shorekeeper patch. It was fucking beautiful, guys. It was amazing. Do you remember the shorekeeper story? I actually thought she might die. I actually thought for like before, for the 5 seconds that we had before before Rover immediately said, "Oh, why don't we rescue her?" Yeah, why don't we have another patch where she could have been dead and we had to bring out to save her? That was my only problem. But other than that, it was fucking amazing. The end. Do you remember the shorekeeper after the piano scene with the leaves and the sunset? At the end, she's saying, "My star." It was amazing, guys. It was so good. And then people were starting to notice a couple of things. There were more, there were disproportionately more female characters than there were male characters. Hmm, isn't that weird? Isn't that weird, guys? Hey, it's Kuro Games, we love him. Hey. They were noticing everybody in the whole fucking world was glazing Rover. He's so great. He's so amazing. Oh my god. Rover, please. Notice me, senpai. Everyone, do you know one character that actually disagrees with what Rover is doing? How is that realistic? Right? But people were letting this shit go. The problems that still stand today. And then the disappointment came. The disappointing part of the game. The award shows. Oh, guys, do you remember how excited we were for the game shows? Do you remember how everyone went in to vote for Wuthering Waves? We were placed on the Players' Voice Awards among next to giants like Elden Ring DLC, next to giants like Black Myth Wukong. These are mainstream games that everyone plays, and we were right next to them. Even if if like we were so happy. And then dun 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 dun. What the fuck? What do you mean, Balatro? What the fuck even is Balatro, guys? How many of you knew what Balatro was when they won instead of us? I remember going into Balatro streams. I remember going into Balatro YouTube just to figure out why this game that was made by one person was better than what I had received from Wuthering Waves, from the vastness of the map and everything else in the combat. I watched some guy play with stone cars for an entire fucking 30 minutes. Stone cars! Guys, if you don't know what stone cars is basically like it sounds. The card is a stone card. It's all that is. It doesn't have like a number or like a king. I don't even know how to play poker, bro. I watched some fucking guy play with stones for 30 minutes. That's how I was invested into figuring out why this game is so much better than Wuthering Waves. And we still supported them through all this. We were still satisfied even with the loss. Even with the loss, we were satisfied. And then came the redemption arc. Guys, I remember waking up in my bed and having the day off. I remember watching my screen and the rover was flying. What the fuck? Actual flying was coming to fucking Wuthering Waves. Do you guys remember the fucking hype? What? 2.0 came, broke records. We have fishing now. Oh my god. Fishing, it was so good. The stories were insane. The voice acting. We had a date with a fucking tacit Discord, guys. A date. A date with Lorelai. We went through all these different areas. We went through the fucking maze where we had to solve a puzzle. Then we were in the sky in a fucking inverted tower. We didn't know what fucking gravity is. I was flying upside down, sideways, fucking any fucking way, dude. It was crazy. The game was finally paying off for the entire half year that it was fucking dog shit. We were finally bringing it up on its legs. We brought it up from its knees, guys. We made it what it is today. It was finally paying back to us. The anticipation for what was coming next is insane. Right before 2.3 live stream, everyone was so hyped because we had went through all this shit, and the developers were finally paying it off. Our fucking struggles and how anxious we were, it was finally paying off. And then 2.3 happened. Guys, I want to like summarize what actually happened during the live stream. Everyone was like, are we gonna get it? Are we gonna get a 5-star? Not only because of the leaks, but because of the whole anticipation, the payout, the redemption arc. The redemption arc. Who doesn't like a nice redemption arc, dude? That was supposed to be the culmination of the entirety of 2.0, the culmination where we were supposed to get 20 different events, where we're supposed to get a giant map, where we're supposed to enjoy it with a 5-star at the start of the patch, not the fucking middle or the fucking end. That's what I was like expected. I want everybody to enjoy vastness in the open world, to enjoy community events, not events that are solo, even though I have no problem with them being solo. Community events. I'm not going to talk about events that much because, as I said, we don't know what they are. That's what the anticipation was. And just to bring a point about leakers, most people don't choose to get leaked. They don't. I could be scrolling 2 months before 2.3. I remember even, I think, before 2.2, I watched some video. I'll be scrolling and I saw a video on my feed saying free Chiacona coming. Guys, I didn't choose to see that free Chiacona was coming. Moreover, I see it and I click it. I want to see if it's legit. Is this officially announced? Not every leaker said it's a fucking leak. Not every leaker says it's a leak. It's some saying, free Chacona, and I don't see the rest of the title. That's what the anticipation was. And this is what we got rewarded by. Lastly, I want to talk about the problems in the community. The first problem I have is with Tectone himself. Now, this is not me saying I hate Tectone. I neither hate him nor like him. He's just a content creator. He's there to do a job. I know he wants to think that his job is being happy and having a good time. That is not your job, Tectone. I'll tell you what your job is as a content creator. Your job as a content creator that covers Wuthering Waves is to cover Wuthering Waves. And by that, I mean learning the combat mechanics and actually playing the game. You have done none of those two things. There were two things that you needed to fucking do. It doesn't take much to log in every day for 5 minutes to complete an event and this. You have an account manager that plays the game for you. Tecton, why should we trust your judgment about what you say if you have no idea of what you have to go through to collect these rewards, what the rewards actually mean, or in terms of combat, Or I know you had some take on the tuners. You don't know what the fucking combat mechanics are. You never collected tuners or XP like you should have. Like the community, the guys. You say you represent the average player, but the average player doesn't have these options to hire people that play the game for them. The average player just plays the game, and when it gets tired, it stops playing the game, and he loses asteroid for it. That's how it works. The average player, Tectone, knows the game's mechanics. I know it seems like I'm calling you out like, oh, this guy doesn't know how to play the game. Most players that play Wuthering Waves know what fucking concerto is. If you've played for 1 year, you would know what an outro skill is, or how to do a simple rotation. If you think this is unreasonable, you should ask Tectone's chat himself, the people that actually watch him. On 2.0, he made a video with Sintontas. Sintontas was teaching him everything. Guys, if you watch that video, I'm gonna try and link it. Uh, Tectone didn't know shit about the game. He didn't know where this was located or that was located. That was 2.0, guys. 5 patches after the launch, if you include the launch, right? What's one patch like? What, 6 weeks? For 30 weeks, you've been covering Wuthering Waves, and you didn't even know how it's played. How is that even possible? How the fuck do you go on your job and it's somehow possible that you cover your job for such a long time and you don't know even what your job is? You don't know how to do your job. What? Tectone. Now, the next part is actually me going to be defending Tectone. Like, this was me calling out Tectone. Now it's me defending Tectone from his point of view that I think he might see it. Guys, Tectone is the biggest YouTube channel, maybe even the biggest Twitch channel. I don't watch Twitch that much. The biggest YouTube channel for covering gacha content. He's covering all the drama. He's covering almost everything. So it's natural for everyone to expect him to cover something. And this is me saying to you, Tectone. Tectone, you don't have to be, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to cover everything. If you don't have an educated opinion to give, it's better to say, guys, I haven't played this game long enough to know what the players expect, what the expectation is. You can say I've played a lot of gacha games, and that's what the gacha games do. But Wuthering Waves isn't all gacha games. Wuthering Waves is made by Kuro Games. The only expectation I'm gonna have is from Wuthering Waves. Lots of other players don't play all these other games, Tectone. They only play Wuthering Waves. That's what their expectations are based off. Right? And the other thing I want to say in Tectone's defense is first I want to say Tectone from 4 or 5 years ago would have made a video on Tectone now. Because the thing Tectone back then hated about gacha games is the same thing Tectone is in gacha games. If you remember, Tectone was mad about Hoyoverse and Hoyo creators, being afraid of Hoyo, being afraid of what to say, if they'll get, hit, if their channel will get hit. The same thing is happening right now, except that it's not Hoyoverse they fear. Content creators don't fear Hoyoverse. They fear Tectone himself, the guy that was supposed to save Gacha. They fear him. And Tectone has said it himself. They don't want to make controversial statements before they listen to his opinion. He said it very recently. He was on vacation. I remember the video. He was on vacation and he said during the very beginning of the video that everyone was waiting for his opinion. If he doesn't speak up, nobody will speak up. Everybody's following what Tecton says. Everyone. And Tecton realizes this. Guys, this is what we call a monopoly. Not a monopoly in the terms of having, bought the competition. Tecton is so big compared to everyone else. It has such influence compared to everyone else that Tecton making a video about you, calling you unreasonable and making fun of you is basically the end of your career. If you're not big like Gacha Smack, if you're not big like Mr. Pokey, your career might just be over. If you have that many players, calling you out, it's just it leaves such bad reputation, and it's not like you can fight back. No, I want to add something before I forget. On the other thing, on the Tecton defense, uh, Tecton himself made a very recent video in which he himself says he doesn't know if it's enough. He himself, I can quote him, he doesn't know if 57 pulls is enough, you know. And that opinion is made on gacha games, not on Kuro games, guys. He doesn't know. He said it. He doesn't know. He doesn't. That's why he asked this guy point blank, and I want to give credit. I want to give Tecton credit for that. He asked the guy, "What do you think? What do you think, Tecton? What do you think? Is it enough? Is it not enough?" Tecton, I wanna speak to you plainly. When you ask someone that's very small a question like that on your channel, first of all, how they see you, how they see the question, and how it's different when you ask it. First of all, when they're invited on your channel, that's like a golden ticket, right? It could either make their channel big or it can destroy the channel. And when you ask them, first of all, a question like that, what do you think the rewards are? He thinks to himself, oh, God, Tecton's asking me what the rewards are. I better say something that's reasonable. He said this. He doesn't like them. I better agree with him. And you end up with this opinion that it's like you're surrounded by yes men. Do you understand, Tecton? You're so big that everybody fears you to say the right thing. When shit goes bad, it's just crazy. Guys, I want to finish this. I want to finish this video by saying China, for the first time, is on our side, and we're staying silent. I want to address all the content creators right now that are staying silent. I want to tell them, even on Bilibili, they're censoring, but there's so many Chinese people, they can't censor fast enough. They already censored their Wuthering Waves Reddit because it's not that many people. It's like hundreds of people to censor. They already censored them all, and it's just normal. And it appears like everything is died out. It has not died out. Chinese are still pissed off. Wake up, guys. I really like the gacha smack steak. I rarely watch Gacha Smack. It just so happens that whenever I watch him, I probably watch 3 or 4 videos. He always makes those base takes. I don't know if it's a coincidence or he just makes base takes all the time, but he still went soft on them. He didn't push. You have to push. You have to be aggressive like you were with Honkai Star Rail. I don't mean stop playing the game, you know, stop playing Wuthering Waves. I don't think anybody's gonna stop playing Wuthering Waves because objectively, Wuthering Waves is a good game. Objectively, it's a good game. And everyone's mad at the developers, not the game itself, and what it has become in terms of gameplay, in terms of what's available and optimization. Everybody's mad at the developers and the higher ups that are making these decisions that are heavily monetizing the game. That's what the problem is. The heavy monetization. That's what we fight for. The one time, guys, China is on. Am I losing my mind? Why are we all sleeping when China is on our side? What the fuck, guys? You were complaining for years that the Chinese were not rising, and now that they rise, you sleep and you're confused. Wake up. This is crazy. Here's my expectations and from the content creators. I want you all, everybody, I don't care, everybody that covered this drama that was with TikTok, I want you all on a call. I want you to make a public apology. Says that you really were silent. Guys, I want you all, everyone that watches this video to understand I don't want this to be a humiliation ritual. I want this to be an acknowledgement that everyone that was silent, you can't even spread your fucking information anywhere. You can't, if you have an opinion, you can't say it anywhere. Where are you gonna say it? On the TikTok channel where everybody's gonna fucking blast you? Or where are you gonna say it? You can't say it on the official Discord or the official subreddit. You literally don't have a place to speak. Guys, Kuro Games is disrespecting your first, most fundamental human right, the right to thought, the right to speak, the right to have a free opinion, the right to free speech, the right to have an opinion. The very guys, I'm not an American. I want to ask all Americans, why do you think the First Amendment, the very first, is the amendment that grants you the right to speak freely, the right to think clearly, the right to think freely? Is because it's the most important one. It's the first one you fucking see, and Kuro Games has disrespected it. And I want all the community together all at once and say, we're sorry. And I want to give as honest and reasonable take as I can. And I want to tell everyone that's watching them to keep in mind who we are. We are the community that forgives. That's what we've done from 1.0. Everybody in Wuthering Waves that still follows it is part of the community that forgives anyone that's called you greedy. I want you to forgive them. We all love Wuthering Waves. Everybody that's been called retard or had a lengthy discussion with someone else, forgive them. You know, there's no reason to fight. You're not going to make anyone agree with you by calling them a bad name, by acting bad towards them. Not one person in the world has agreed with another person when they told them they suck ass or that they're greedy or insulted them in any other way. I want Tecton to realize that because he made a video saying, if you do this, you're greedy and delusional. Tecton, are you going to make anyone believe they're greedy or delusional or anything else by calling them a bad word? So please, the community has to get together, has to apologize, has to say what we're going to do, has to grant the ability of their communities to speak freely. Because everyone in the community is afraid of saying shit anywhere because they get blasted by all those followers that blindly follow you and repeat everything you say. It's true. There's always people in your comment section that just blindly agree with you, Tectone. Because that's what people do. They're looking for an opinion, and you don't have enough experience to make an educated opinion. We will forgive you. We'll forgive everyone. They can forgive us too. If I've done something bad, I apologize too. This video is absolute garbage, guys. I don't know how to make a video. I apologize for that. This is my first video ever. I made this fucking account 3 days ago. 3 days. I was even contemplating doing it because I'm not very good at being confrontational. I get very anxious. I apologize if I didn't went hard enough on or didn't address some point. But this is what I have. And with that, guys, let's forgive. Let's be reasonable. This is my take. This is my opinion on what's happening right now on Wuthering Waves.